in Maryland, y'all, from my next story. Please give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share, leave a comment for algorithmic purposes. You could just say comment. That's fine. I appreciate it. You know I do. Material support, BIDWKB, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Patreon. Also in Greenbelt, Maryland, coincidentally, Greenbelt's been all over the map or all across the news this week. It's been a big week for Greenbelt, Maryland. First, the announcement of the FBI headquarters, and then the conclusion of at least one of the trials of former Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. As you guys know, Marilyn Mosby, very infamously, was tasked with prosecuting the cops who murdered Freddie Gray, the Baltimore Police Department officers who murdered Freddie Gray back in 2015. She failed to secure a conviction. She also failed to secure convictions on Keith Davis Jr., despite repeatedly trying him over and over for a murder he did not commit. She harassed and basically tortured his family with these malicious prosecutions. And Marilyn Mosby was just not, I would say, a positive figure during her tenure as Baltimore State's attorney. She was a prosecutor. Inevitably, her job was to put people in jail. And because of a turn of events, it seems as though now it is someone else's job to possibly put her in jail because this week at a federal courthouse in Greenbelt, Maryland, Marilyn Mosby was found guilty on 2 counts of perjury. Yes, that's 2 counts of perjury in connection to a scheme, or maybe not say scheme. I'm trying to be nice here, even though I shouldn't be, have no reason to be, but her intent to purchase two vacation homes in Florida, of which she used some of her retirement funds that she was not supposed to withdraw, that she used some of her retirement funds as down payments on these vacation homes that she and her husband, Baltimore City Councilman Nick Mosby, hoped to use as potential rental properties. These motherfuckers is goofy as shit. Let us get the recap briefly, if we could. I believe this we're going to go to Fox 45, who has always had a particular animus towards Marilyn Mosby, which is why I wanted to get their take. Is why I wanted to go to Fox 45. So I think it's going to be reporter Mackenzie Frost reporting live from outside of the Greenbelt courthouse as the news of the jury verdict of guilty against Marilyn Mosby. To be clear, she has more charges pending against her. We'll get to those in just a moment, but we're about to see is Mackenzie Frost's live stand-up from when the verdict was announced, and then you're going to get to see Marilyn Mosby coming out of the courtroom, and the media attempts to get a response from her about her perjury conviction. Let's take a look.
The verdict is read. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we just heard from the verdict was read in. The jury signaled that they had reached a verdict around 2:30, 2:45. We got word that there was something coming around 3 o'clock, and that we did learn that there would be a verdict that was read at 4 o'clock. So once everyone came inside, we saw Marilyn Mosby walk in shortly before 4 o'clock. She came inside, everyone sat down, then the jury was brought in, and on both counts, one by one, the jury read the verdict to the judge and said that they found her guilty on both perjury charges. Now, if we go back and look at this case, we know that this started on Monday. Opening statements started. We had a couple witnesses. It was a much shorter trial than originally expected and anticipated. So today, what is Thursday now, we know that she has been found guilty. We expect her to come out, potentially answer some questions. Throughout this entire trial, she has remained pretty quiet, not answering questions from the media. We hope we can ask ask her defense attorney some questions as well, if and when everybody does come outside. Remember, Marilyn Mosby opted not to take the stand yesterday. That was the big question heading into yesterday, was that would she take the stand? She made the decision not to do so, and it came after prosecutors warned her that if she did take the stand, that they would ask her about previous tax deductions and questionable things that may or may not lead to more charges down the road. So now we know she's not taking the stand here, but remember that this isn't over, because she is still facing 2 more charges for the mortgage fraud. That trial has yet to be scheduled. Mary and Kai, we're expecting to potentially learn more about the next steps. We just got the verdict moments ago, and hopefully I'll be able to share more information in a little bit.
Before we let you go, can we at least talk about, was there any reaction from anyone in the courtroom? Marilyn Mosby, her attorneys, any members of the jury?
So I was actually in the media overflow room. I wasn't in the actual courtroom when the verdict was read, so I could tweet it and make sure that I was able to get the information out to everybody as soon as possible. But from what I saw, it didn't look like there was too much reaction. It looks like we just have some more media people coming out right now, so just want to keep an eye on who's coming out. But as far as reaction, the judge was very clear. She warned everybody before the verdict was read. She told everyone to not have any reaction, whether it was from the defendant or anyone in the courtroom at all. So really no reaction right now.
And Mackenzie, we know as well, and you mentioned this, that from a procedural standpoint, that Ms. Mosby's defense team moved for a complete dismissal of all charges. Kurt Nachman said this was strategic. This was so they could set up a process for appeal. I know it's early. I know you left the overflow room, but have you heard anything about this second case in appeal so far?
Nothing about an appeal yet. We know that there were some conversations about the mortgage fraud trial during this conversation when we're talking about the perjury trial. The prosecution was warned not to mention very much about the mortgage fraud. We don't have a date for that next trial yet. So we don't have a date for the trial. We don't have a date for a potential appeal filing or even when sentencing. So even though we do have a verdict now, there are still a lot of unanswered questions about what comes next as this continues to unfold.
All right, Mackenzie Frost live outside the courthouse in Greenbelt with a guilty verdict for Marilyn Mosby tonight, 2 counts of perjury. Mackenzie, thank you.
Mosby is coming out right now. Here we go, here we go. See if she has any comment.
Mr. White, do you have any comment?
Any comment?
No comment?
Any comment?
Do you plan to appeal this?
What do you want to say to the people of Baltimore? Anything?
I'm blessed. I have nothing else to say. Ms. Mosby, were you surprised by the verdict?
Ms. Mosby, do you plan to appeal this ruling?
Mr. White,
Any reaction at all?
this seems upsetting.
You can see there.
Did she say she was blessed and highly favored? She was walking on the court. Y'all, all right, let me tell you a couple things about this. Okay, so to be clear, this perjury conviction stems from when Marilyn Mosby took money out of her retirement account based off the premise of financial hardship, that certain aspects of the CARES Act allowed people to tap their retirement if they was experiencing a financial hardship. To be clear, the same year that Marilyn Mosby withdrew this monies, which totaled $90,000 from her deferred retirement account, blah, 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 right? Marilyn Mosby was earning a salary of $247,000. $247,000, right? Now, mind you, that was just her salary as state's attorney. She was married to the damn Baltimore city councilman, who I believe was president at the time. I'm not sure how long Nick Mosby has been president of the city council, but he's been a member of the city council for some time. City council's salaries are usually hover baseline, maybe in the 80s, low 80s. So Nick Mosby at minimum was making 80 grand, right? Around the same time that Marilyn Mosby was making nearly $250,000. Okay. Now, for those that know, the Black median income of a black household, even a two-income household, usually does not add up to $300,000 and some change, right? So the Mosbys, despite both being public servants, were faring pretty well, having a pretty comfortable life living in Baltimore, right? These niggas wasn't living in Bethesda. These niggas was not the real housewives of Potomac. You know what I'm saying? These niggas was living in Baltimore. And not to say Baltimore is cheap, but it's relatively more affordable than other areas of the state. And trust me, a household income of 300,000, even with a family of four, the Mosbys have two daughters, they was doing all right. But see, that's the problem. This is how capitalism got the black bourgeoisie and the black misleadership in a fucking chokehold. Because for some reason, for niggas earning $300,000 annually in their household, that's not enough. It's not enough just to be doing all right, right? No, these motherfuckers want to earn their leisure. And everybody want to be a damn real estate baron. Everybody want to be an Airbnb landlord. And look at where this shit got you, goofy niggas. Hemmed the fuck up. Because at the end of the day, despite Marilyn Mosby having a little bit of political clout, despite her even having a little bit of money in the bank, for her to even have 90,000 in the bank to put her hands on. And some people argue, well, that's her money. She can do what she wants. It is her money. But here's the thing. This is where you fuck around with them retirement accounts. There's too many goddamn rules. That's why you niggas need to put your shit in the mattress. Okay? Nigga, you ain't got to ask your mattress for no goddamn permission to withdraw that money. That's your money. Right? But when you give your money to the white man, when you start turning your money over to the white man, then you gotta ask for permission for your money. That's how you niggas get fucked up, right? That's how you niggas fall off. This is how these niggas get hemmed up. Anyway, so right. Yeah, that was her money, but she had to ask the white man for permission. The white man said nope. And she said, I'm taking my money anyway. And the white man said, oh yeah? to fed charges. Because you know why? Even though you might be black, might have a little bit of money in the bank, might even have a little bit of political clout, you cannot do the shit the white people do, okay? And as soon as you even think that maybe you might sort of could kind of maybe potentially a little bit do some of the shit the white people do, you get reminded, okay, that no, you cannot. No, you cannot. Y'all, Marilyn Mosby is 42 years old, young woman out here, very accomplished. And it is a shame that she now has these, well, when I say shame, you know, maybe if she were a more upstanding, more sympathetic character, I would feel more empathy for her. But all I kept thinking about looking at this story was, are the Davises raising a glass? Are Keith and Kelly Davis raising a glass? Because I know, were I Keith or Kelly Davis, I'd be getting drunk as a skunk to Marilyn Mosby's misfortune right now. Because I'm thinking about not only the Davises, a family that her actions, Mosby's actions, through willful, malicious prosecution and harassment of Keith, his family, and his supporters. Like, she really did make people's lives hell. She made a lot of people miserable. She likely even ruined a lot of people's life. She was trying to ruin Keith's life. And it's amazing. If you guys recall, months ago when these charges were first announced, and I covered them here on this program, we showed a clip of Mosby and her attorneys going inside the federal courthouse, being greeted by a well-known Baltimore activist named Shorty. And Shorty hollered out, you, Keith Davis done came out, and you and Keith Davis is about to switch places. Y'all about to trade places. I'm not sure what the sentencing is going to be for Mosby. Both of these counts that she has been convicted of regarding perjury carry up to a maximum of 5 years. I do not expect that she will get 5 years. I would expect that she would get some sort of probation, but for the fact that she was a black political figure, a black woman political figure in Baltimore. I would say that Marilyn Mosby might get probation, but given the precedent of former Baltimore mayors, plural, Sheila Dixon and Catherine Pugh, who both had to do jail time, Sheila Dixon had to do jail time for use of the gift cards that were intended for, poor people during the holidays. Catherine Pugh did some time, federal time, if I'm not mistaken, in connection to her book scheme, the Healthy Holly book shenanigans, where who was it, University of Maryland Medical Center, or was it Hopkins or somebody, she got to buy hundreds of $1,000s worth of her books, and it was some bullshit, and the feds caught up with her ass and put her ass in jail. So I would say that Marilyn Mosby should be expecting probation, but it seems as though the feds would really prefer that these black women politicians from Baltimore smell the inside of that jail cell. So I think there's a good chance that that's going to happen for Marilyn. And the fact that her legal woes are not over, she is still dealing with these other fraud charges from the mortgage scheme with the mortgage application, where she is reported to have made some false statements there. She still has to face those charges as well. They haven't even set a court date yet. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on the saga of Marilyn Mosby. I mean, we've been covering Marilyn Mosby in part for some time, and it's wild to see. I can't say grand opening, grand closing, because this has been years in the making, but it's just wild to see someone with such a bright, or used to be a bright political profile, national political profile, someone who garnered a whole lot of really undeserved support and praise simply because she was a black woman, giving the optics that she was taking on the system of police and policing in connection to the murder of Freddie Gray, but she did neither. And she actually tortured black people in Baltimore. So it's very apropos to see her humiliated in this way. I don't wish harm upon people. I don't even know if I'm wishing jail on this lady. I'm still got to process my feelings through all of that. Um but I find it ironic that someone whose job it was to prosecute and put people in jail might themselves, have found themselves prosecuted, convicted, and maybe potentially jailed also. Turnabout is fair play.